Tell him fucking Good morning, everyone. Hello, welcome to the runaround. I have Alan muted, but he's in my ear and he knows that he can say whatever, and he just said canker. So we're gonna hang out with Alan the Yellow-Eyed. The canker on his ass. So we're gonna hang out with Alan the Yellow-Eyed. Welcome, everybody. Here we go. We're gonna go over here. Unmute Alan. Hi.
Oh,
hello,
hi.
sir.
Oh, canker. I'm just gonna keep saying canker because apparently
Canker.
that's the word for today that makes you giggle. So.
That's because I always makes me think of the Alec Baldwin when he couldn't pronounce anything right on SNL as a doctor. He went to Yale Medical School and it was canker of the anal canal.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
for whatever reason, because of my kids, I just remember the Canker sisters from Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Like that's what the word canker always just brings me thoughts of those three ladies who were deeply in love with the Ed boys. So
perfect. That's perfect. All right, Alan, how you doing, buddy? It's good to see you.
It's Sunday. It's a weekend. Yeah. I'm alive and I have coffee, so that's like 99% of everything that I need.
Good. You know what? I've got coffee. I got water. Yeah. So, welcome everybody to the Run Around. We're hanging out with our friend Alan the Yellow-Eyed. He's another streamer. We've known Alan. I think we met. I was telling the story. I feel like you and Purple came into a brew day in 20. It was my first nighttime brew day. I remember it because of that, and because
it was definitely a brew day because I was so freaking interested in the whole process.
It was also the one.
This is neat.
I burnt my hand because my idiot face boiled a cup of water in the microwave and then just put my hand over it and it like, and somebody came in and trolled and you guys both like went off on the troll like, it's funny, he burned his hand, and you guys like went off and like.
I mean, we're both older dudes.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? I think that's pretty fair to say.
I think so.
It's just like, both Purple and I knew we were the old folks on a site filled with children.
Yes.
And so it's just like, listen, child, and we just assumed everyone was a kid.
Yeah.
And we treated them thusly. And that's kind of what it was. You want to come in and act like an idiot. All right. Well, I'll teach you. I'll treat you like I treat a child, and we'll show you what kind of idiot I am. So,
well, one of the things I like to do here on the podcast is I like to do. We're going to use running puns. We don't have to talk about running, but we start with what we call the warm up, and I want to basically let you kind of introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself. How long you've been streaming? Just a little like, hi, my name's Alan, and kind of go from there. So I'm going to kind of let you just kind of talk a bit.
Okay. Well, let's start off with what you just said. Hi, my name's Alan. My name is Alan the Yellow-Eyed. So the full moniker is Alan the Yellow-Eyed, the High Priest of the Great Yellow Eyeball. However, Alan for short. It's just way easier that way. That's a name that I came up with back when I was about 11 years old. Okay. There was an old. Y'all remember Choose Your Own Adventure books, right? There was a series of those kinds of books called Hero Quest. Okay. And not only were they Choose Your Own Adventure, but they were also had some dice rolling components, some like Dungeons and Dragons types components to them. I enjoyed D&D at that time. I wasn't playing it correctly, but I enjoyed it. And so I read the heck out of one called The Demon Gate.
Okay.
And I can't remember the author's name. I think it's Bill something. But the main character of that book was Alan, A-L-Y in it. And that kind of became the character that I would play constantly in D&D. And so Alan, the name Alan has been kind of part of my psyche for forever. And then the Yellow-Eyed came from a campaign where my eyes glowed yellow, and that just kind of became a thing that's always just been there. So like whenever I would start things like I had made my own board game. Well, it was a card game and stuff like that. It's always been done by Yellow-Eyed Studio. Okay. So it's just always been there for like years and years and years. So it made sense whenever I was going to come up with a name to go ahead and use what I kind of was already in my brain hole. to begin with.
Okay.
Um, Especially when it was like a lot of D&D and that kind of theme, right? So that's where the name came from. I am a variety streamer. I do all sorts of whatever, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Normally Fridays is what I call What the Friday, WTF, and it's generally something off the wall or very indie that most people have not heard of, or I just get a whiff of, like a lot of the game keys that I am offered and things like that. That's when they get played, so I can just spend 3 to 4 hours, sometimes more if I really like the game. Um, on a Friday night, just going over it and having a good time and
Okay.
playing that. And then Sunday is my main game, which is usually a longer form game. You're like JRPGs, like those games that take hundreds of hours to beat. I do those on Sundays where I stream for like 6 hours at a minimum and go through those to kind of experience the story with everybody.
Okay.
I've been streaming for like 7.5 years now.
You've been at this a while. We've been,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, back when on the blue platform, before it became the other blue platform.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it that whole thing was a we'll go into that. Basically, I started specifically because at the time, whenever I started, I was actually in the process of retiring from the United States Army.
Okay.
So it was 2017. I was already approved. I was ready to, I was just basically biding time until I was at my end time, right?
Right.
And there was an opportunity called the MSSA, the Microsoft Software and Services Academy. And this is a thing that Microsoft does where they offer classes not just on Microsoft technologies, but also on this is how you do a resume, because we never had to necessarily do one before. Like a lot of people, especially like how it works now, because like someone in my position, I was in the Army for 20 years.
Yeah.
Never had to do a resume. The job I had before that was filling out an application, right? It was just a form that you went into the building for. You don't do that anymore. So they kind of go over, this is how you be a civilian, this is how you get yourself a civilian job, and then here's some Microsoft technologies. And one of the cool things about it is that you were guaranteed an interview with Microsoft once all things were said and done. And luckily for me, I made it through all the rounds of interviews multiple times, and now I actually work for Microsoft. So but during that whole MSSA thing, one of the things that
Hmm.
were like, hey, go do some research on things that Microsoft is working on that
Okay.
you hold a personal interest in. And I'm like, okay. So my first thought was, okay, Xbox stuff.
Yeah.
That's, I'm a video gamer. Cool. Xbox probably easy. So I just kind of looked up I think it was just Microsoft gaming, and hit enter. And like the third link down was Microsoft purchases Mixer for live streaming. And I was like, I've never heard of Mixer, right, at this point, but I know what Twitch was. I didn't
Right.
really watch a lot at the time, but I knew what it was. Um, so I was like, oh, this is okay. This is different. Like, this is not just Xbox stuff. This is something a little bit different than their normal gaming thing. So let me look into it. Looked into it, read it. I'm like, okay, let me go find this site. And then went to mixer.com and boom, there it was. There was the beginning of what was going to be my illustrious streaming side job, hobby, whatever the hell you want to call it. Um and essentially the first person I saw was Lena Axios.
Okay. Yep.
She was playing Overwatch. I was playing a lot of Overwatch at the time, so I just at the time she had that bright red hair, and I just clicked on her stream, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
bright red. Okay, cool. Playing Overwatch. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
And that's how I started watching people on Mixer, and from there, I learned how to do it. Like I'm like, how does one even start this?
Yeah.
It clicked, something in my brain clicked and just went, how does one? right? Because I'm
Right.
at that moment, I'm in a mindset of change.
Yeah.
Right? I'm retiring from the army. I'm about to become a civilian. Let's do something new, right? Let's just try something new.
Yeah.
Because now I have way more time than I used to have when I was in the army. So I'm like, cool, let's play with this. So I learned OBS, and I'm like, oh wow, you don't even have to pay for this stuff, and and it just kind of rolled in, and I already had a mic. Wasn't a great one; it was a headset mic, but I already had a headset. Um, and it had a mic on it, and I'm like, let's just try. I got a video camera that exists that I don't do anything with. Let's just try it.
Okay.
So I downloaded all the stuff and just started doing it. And I started playing Overwatch. It was every Friday night, it was beer and Overwatch. I
Nice.
would I would purchase a new beer from the local we had one place that just had a billion different kinds.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
They just had a ton of different things. And then I would just pick a new brand that I have never tried before, and I would bring it home, and I would, in the bottom corner, which looking back on it was probably against TOS, but I had the beer that I was drinking in the bottom corner. I don't know if that's considered advertisement, but I was just, here's my
Yeah.
beer, and then I would play Overwatch.
I like it.
And that's how I kind of started. And then on the weekends, I would start playing my longer form games, and just kept on going.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
just
love it. Yeah.
just kept on doing it.
I think Lena was one of the first few. She was one of the first few I followed. I think it was Human Echoes.
Mhm.
With when back when Funky was PT.
Yeah, back when
She.
PT was PT and now is
Yeah.
Funky, and then is Moot.
Yes.
All the names?
Moot Funk.
Yes.
Moot Funk PT. Yes.
Hmm.
And then I found York. Well, however you say
York.
it. York. Who I'm trying to get him to trade me in fantasy football, and he won't answer my email. Anyway.
I think you got your answer then.
I think so. He doesn't care. It's fine. PT Mootfunk, yes, as Potter Toastman says. PT Mootfunk, who also we call Pineapple Butt Stuff because that happened that first Christmas Eve at like midnight when we were playing golf with friends. And
I mean, whatever you do in your personal time is none of my business.
yeah, that's
Just saying.
So we've been going about the same time, like 7.5 ish. Yeah, 7.5 years back. So I think I started too when it actually had started, when it changed to Mixer. And yeah, like I did just all the brewing and stuff. But one of the things I got to ask you, it's not on the list, but one of my favorite, it was back on Mixer. We had the soundboards. It's basically the equivalent of channel points,
Yeah.
but better.
Oh, yeah.
But Epic Baldhead. You know,
Yes.
I need the story of Epic Baldhead. You've told it before. I know the story, but I
Okay.
want you to kind of share. Epic Baldhead is the greatest thing that it's still. I love it.
My brain does weird things. It always has. And my intrusive thoughts are generally funny. Like everybody has intrusive thoughts, and
Mhm.
and a lot of my intrusive thoughts are just jokes, or just a lot of dark humor comes from my military background, and that's how we dealt with things when things were really bad. You would make jokes about it because what the hell else could you do, really?
Okay.
Try
Yeah.
to find the funny. And so that weird connection where my brain takes bad things and tries to make it funny still exists. But it does it with all sorts of other things too. And the epic bald head was just me sitting there one day, and when I first started streaming, I focused a lot on my bald head. One of the things specifically being that trying to unmixer, because we were kind of a smaller community, you had
Mhm.
to stand out in
Yes.
some way, shape, or form. You
Yes.
had to really kind of do something personality wise that nobody else was doing,
Hmm.
in order to kind of be noticed on that platform. Um, and so I focused on a couple of things. One, the fact that I was bald, and didn't care about it, and just relished in the fact that I had no hair. And the other one being just the off the wall, constantly talking and saying whatever comes to mind without really filtering or thinking about what I'm saying. It was just pure stream of consciousness. And so the epic bald head kind of just came from the combination of the two of those things, where I'm just kind of like, okay, bald head. And I'm like, you know what would be funny? If my head just rose for the bottom of the screen while epic background music played. Now, at the time, I didn't know that I was going to, I wasn't going to do I didn't know that I was going to do the 2001 Space Odyssey, whatever the name of that, Zephyr, whatever the hell it is.
Yes.
But I found out that I'm like, okay, can I even do that? And I'm like, oh, wait, that music is actually public.
Yeah.
That is not copywritten anymore. That is public. I'm like, oh. But yeah, so I spent hours, and this was before, I started doing anything with video editing or anything like that, where I literally went into GIMP, took a picture that I had from when I was in the MSSA program, because it had a nice clear shot of my head. Like the background was perfectly neutral, and it was easy for me to cut my head out, and it was such high resolution that it was big enough that whenever you stretched it to fit the screen, it didn't get all blurry and messed up, right? So it just had it was like the perfect storm of events. So I cut that out, and then in GIMP, literally frame by frame, moved it up 1 pixel. Made another frame, moved it up 1 pixel, made another frame. And I did that. That took 576 frames to animate going up like that. It took hours for me to make this stupid thing. Now I could do it in like 5 minutes in a video editing software and just make the timing right, and then it would just be done. But no, I literally... And then not only that, but because I knew how many frames per second that I was doing for the GIF and everything else, I was timing it to the music as well. So the animation I was doing separately from the music, but timing the animation to fit with the music. It took hours of my life to do this thing. But I thought it was hilarious. And the initial thought of it was literally, it was going to be, the Dos Equis most
interesting man.
Most interesting man in the world. It was going to be the most interesting head in the world. That was really what it was going to be, where I was just going to talk about what amazing things this head does and what it's capable of, and so on and so forth. That was the whole purpose. And then my brain, which is the way it is, just started making it rhyme one day. And then it became a poem. And then every time it was just a completely made up on the spot poem where I would talk about whatever I could. 99% of everything that you see, nothing is scripted with what I do. I sometimes will put a note of things that I think are funny that I want to talk about, just when low times I can bring them up.
Yeah.
But I don't... Everything is improv with me. It comes from my D&D background and stuff like that. I love doing improv, and I'm pretty good at just off the cuff coming up with stuff. Just always kind of have been.
Yeah.
And so this became just my big improv moment. Every time they hit it, it would always start with "ladies and gentlemen," and then I would go straight into whatever it was about the head. And normally it had something to do with what was going on in the game or whatever. And it would always be to the, not the beat, but the feeling of the music, because that 2001 Space Odyssey would, it's got that slow build up, and then the dun dun, and then it would always be like, I would always say the epic bald head, like at the dun dun part, just to make it kind of like it's a superhero. It's stupid. It's the dumbest thing. It makes no sense.
But I love it.
But I do it every time because people think it's freaking funny, and that's the point.
That's
the point.
The creativity, like just hearing like all the frames and the time, the labor of love we'll say it's a labor of love. And you're right. Like we've learned, we both were older guys, and we've learned how to do things. And yeah, Pottery Toastman, dumb equals good. It's amazing. Like I have a soft spot for things like the Epic Bald Head, and I feel like our brains kind of click. Like you've helped name many beers. Like I've brewed.
Oh
that's
God, I've named so many beers.
You have you and Why Do I Bother are the two that have named the most beers outside of Kelly, because when a lot of them are basic random things Kelly said. But like I was going through some of them, and I'm gonna have a couple kind of flash across the screen. My favorite is still the blueberry one, the why inv like it was a blueberry waffle beer.
Yep. That's actually one of my follower emotes on Twitch is the blueberry.
That's awesome.
Literally, like, I'm put it in the.
I love it.
Hold on, I'm gonna put it in your chat so everyone has it.
Do it. Also, guys,
capital blueberry? No, wait. Now I got to remember what it was. Did I spell it wrong? I did spell it wrong somehow.
There we go.
Yeah, like because I brought a little bit of mixer over with us.
Yes, I love it. That I remember that brew day. I remember like all the kids, because it was all the Xbox kids would come over, and like, why? Because they would just spam the one button on their Xbox controllers, or they'd be like, "Invite me." Yeah, and like I remember the few kids that were like, "Invite me over." I'm like, "Dude, this is my house." No.
Well, they were big. Like it was almost as if a lot of the Xbox kids thought the whole reason Mixer existed is for them to play games with the people who were streaming.
Yes.
And so they would, and the why was essentially when you hit the button on the controller in order to use the keyboard, it always defaulted to being on the Y key. So if they would hit the button quickly, it would just be like they would just keep typing Y over and over in the chat. That's all they would do.
Yeah.
And then so you would always know, and they would never have a user like an icon or anything like that.
It would
so
be the
it was
blueberry.
Always just the default blueberry, and that just became one of the many, I don't know, memes, the just part of the culture of the thing where the Xbox kids constantly spamming Y or invite me.
Yes.
Which always cracked me up because I generally was playing nothing but single player games. Yeah. Like that was 99% of what I played were single player games. And they're like, invite me to what?
Yeah. Like you're invited to watch.
What? Yeah. What am I inviting you to play? And that actually cracked me up because that was one of them a long time ago was like, wow, you're pretty entertaining for just playing a single player game. That's the point, dude. What are you talking about?
It's amazing.
Not just about anyway, but yeah. I remember those old days. That and how we became not a cult. That was literally somebody coming in, and so a lot of the theme is like you can see it in the background. This is the Church of the Yellow Eye. This is where I do my every one of my stream titles is a today's sermon or tonight's sermon, and then whatever the name of it is, which is generally a pun. Usually not always, but usually. And so the whole thing is very like cult like in its appearance, but I maintain that this is not a cult no matter what. And that whole thing came about because someone came in the chat, and after spending a few minutes there chatting and talking, literally said, wait, is this a cult? And this was before that whole cult thing. And I maintained, and I said, no, it's not a cult. It's just it's a play, blah, blah. But every one of the viewers that has been there forever and ever is like, no, this is a cult. This is a cult. So it became the whole thing where everyone knows it's a cult, but the guy who's running the cult. And so that's kind of where not a cult comes from. Why it says it's the best cult you've never been part of, because it's not one. Right. That whole thing. And that just became something random because a random viewer came in and was really thought we were in the middle of in cult-like behavior. But we're not.
Nope.
We're not.
So when we talk about viewers, what is one of, like, I think I know the answer. What's the weirdest request you've gotten from a viewer? Like I know you've probably gotten some. Like that feels like pretty weird. Like is this a cult? But like, is there anything super weird anyone's asked you to do or say during a stream?
I mean, okay, so there's always the ones that try to get you to say things that are inappropriate, right?
Yes.
Um, with usernames and words that begin with like KNEE. I'm not going to go any further than that. A lot of people know what those are.
Yes.
Um, those were always just like, do I look stupid to you, buddy? Kind of situations.
Yeah.
I never understood dabbing. Um, why would you ask some random dude on the internet to dab? That never
Mm-hmm.
made any sense to me. But weirdest, like, I mean, my regular viewers ask me probably to do the weirdest shit, to be honest.
Fair.
But man, I honestly don't know because I do
Okay.
weird shit all the time on my own. So it's
Yeah.
like, do I really need people to ask me to do weird things? Not really. I'll probably end up doing it on my own anyway.
Okay. Fair.
But yeah, I mean, the cult story is pretty much like one of the funniest strange things that someone's ever asked. But yeah, I can't. I mean, off the top, anything else is like I don't
Okay.
really have a lot of weird things other than these guys are being douche canoes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's the well, I mean, we're part of the group think older guys, right? Like it was, you, me, B, old gen, new gen, Yorick. Like we definitely are of that similar demographic. And my favorite memory, I think, of us hanging out is still it's at the trailer park in San Antonio. And we were making at the end of the night, we're making fun of Gouda because he had overserved
that
himself.
poor kid.
That little
That poor
dude.
kid. He was too small to have that much beer.
Yes.
He was just a tiny dude. He
Yeah.
was just a tiny dude having extremely strong beers made by you. And
Yeah.
I don't think he realized the sheer percentage numbers
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
produced in your various brews.
I just remember trying to warn him, like, you got to slow down. This is not gonna go well. And that's been a theme of like all the brew days. Like the last time I did a beer for one of my run friends for her block party, and a guy came over. One of her neighbors lived like 5 doors down. I was like, I've brewed before. This doesn't taste strong. I'm like, I'm telling you, this is a 9% beer. No, it's not. I'm like, I'm 5 later. His wife had to walk him home. I was like, I tried to tell him, Bethy. I tried. She's like, you're fine. It's like,
Yeah. It's like, listen, yeah. And I was there for a lot of well, I was there and watched you brew like probably 90% of the bottles that you had there.
yeah,
And hell, I probably named 3 or 4 of them that
yes,
were there. So like I knew what I was in for. And
yeah,
I was there, basically DDing it at the time anyway, because we drove out there. So like
right,
I wanted to, but I didn't.
yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. Except for the fact that Cats was really loud.
Yeah, and we almost got in trouble.
And
Yeah,
we almost got in trouble by the trailer, not the trailer, but the RV park manager.
my favorite part was when he came back it was like the 3rd time, and old John's like, "Hey, want a beer?" And he tried to give the guy a beer.
Yeah, come hang out with us.
Yeah, come on, have one. Yeah,
We'll
like
bring you in.
that was an entertain. Like that was like peak Mixer. Like 2018 was when it was really feeling.
Yeah, PAX South 2018. That was
Yep.
that was a good time.
That was good. It was, man. I remember road tripping down.
That's actually the first time I felt like I actually belonged as a streamer at that point.
Okay. Yeah.
So like it was a little better. Like the 2017 was or no 2018 was the first one. Was it 2019? I don't know. It was I had barely started when I first when I went to my first PAX because I was in Texas now and it was like a 3-hour drive to go to PAX
Right.
South. So why not? Especially when there was going to be a bunch of Mixer folks there, and I'm like, hey, perfect time to go interface and talk to people for reals. And I didn't feel like I belonged there at first.
Mhm.
Well, for like the first year that I was there, I did not feel like I belonged there at all. Like I'm whatever. All these people have. It was all about like these all people have numbers, and it comes back
Yes.
to the how was I like the way I was not necessarily picked on, but the way that I was kind of excluded from the popular kids growing up and stuff like that. Because oh my god, I was a nerd when I was a kid, when I was a child.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Um, and so I just didn't feel like I belonged there with all the cool kids, even though they were just as nerdy and as I
Mhm.
was, but they were still cooler than me because they had numbers that I didn't. But again, like that, it wasn't until later that I kind of felt like I was getting my feet,
Mhm.
under me in that whole mixer ecosystem, and was starting to people started to know who I was without me necessarily directly interfacing with them. And
Yeah.
so like that next year, whenever we were doing that, it was a lot more. I had a
Yeah.
lot more people who knew the hell who I was and would come up to me and stuff like that. So I kind of felt like I belonged at that point, or at
Yeah.
least didn't not belong. So
Okay. So as we kind of mentioned it before we went live about like Blue Sky and kind of diversifying and adding platforms. Or as you continue to stream, do you have goals to branch out? I was talking to one, I think Powder Toastman, about, it's like, should I try Kick? Should we try it? Like, do you have thoughts or plans to
so
add
I
platforms?
multi-stream. Yeah, I multi-stream to YouTube right now.
Okay.
So I already do my streams to, and some of them remain, some of them don't. YouTube is a weird beast when it comes to live content because it's not really set up for live content. It's kind of
Mhm.
an add-on to their normal YouTube watch videos business.
Okay.
And therefore it's really a grab bag of people, because people want different things when you come to YouTube. Most people who are coming to YouTube are going there to be like, I want to look up how to do X, Y, or
This.
Z,
Yeah.
right? And when you come and see me live playing a game, I'm literally playing it for the first time. So I'm not going to teach you anything because
About the
I'm
game.
experiencing it
Yeah.
first as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's they're what people want and what you can get out of a live stream are two separate things when it comes to
Yeah.
YouTube.
Okay.
However, it's there, and it's a VOD that is automatically saved off,
Hmm.
right? Because they disappear off of Twitch, right? So but now
Yes.
they're automatically saved off onto YouTube, and even if they're not public where everyone can watch them, they're still there. There's a
Yeah.
place for them.
Yeah.
Um and it's easy to edit and things like that if I want to. Like all the D&D games that we do get pulled off of there. The breaks and things are edited out of it and then put back up for, so everyone can experience the Dungeons and Dragons games that we
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
A series of unfortunate decisions, because my players make some unfortunate decisions. So
That's how it goes, though. That's
Mhm.
what. What's your okay? Two part question. Favorite part
Okay.
of streaming, and what's your pain point or pain points with streaming?
I okay, my favorite thing is just knowing I am making people laugh.
Okay.
Knowing when I say some things that I know is fucking funny.
Hmm.
Like and what's funny about what I do is because it's so straight off the cuff and made up on the fly. There's a lot of things that I don't realize are funny until after I say it. Like because there's no filter. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just
Right.
saying it.
Yeah.
And I will start laughing at my own jokes only just because I'm hearing it for the first time too. So it just makes me laugh because it's like, oh, that was funny. Because I didn't know I was going to say it like that and it was going to come out like that.
Hmm.
Um, so when people are, lulzing and all that kind of stuff in chat, and then I'm on a roll, because you have your days where you're just kind of like, yeah, and then you have your other days where you just get everything, you're just on it,
It clicks.
just over and over and over, and you're just hitting it every time.
Yeah.
And you can feel when you're in that mode and when those things are happening. And so when those days happen, it's like, this is why I do this, because I know I'm making somebody's day a little bit better than what it was before, which is something that I say at the end of every one of my sermons, every one of my streams, is trying to make their lives better than what it was when you got there. And that's kind of one of the reasons I do what I do, because I get a lot of how people feel about certain things, and I won't go too deep into that, but yeah, I just understand.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need a reason to laugh. So that's the thing that I love the most about it. The biggest pain point is honestly time. And not, I have more ideas than I have time to execute them.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And part of it is because I have a full-time job, right? And so that's like, 45, 50 hours a week that I am not able to do anything or even think about it. But my job is mentally taxing. So once the day is over, I'm not the mindset, the cerebral mindset that I have to get in, as far as like making things funny or editing a video and all that. It takes mental energy that I no longer have, because I spent it all
at the day
doing
job.
my job, right? Because my job, again, it's cerebral, it's all mental, it's logic. I am straight logical thinking from 9 in the morning until 6 p.m. And then once that's done and over with, it's just like, I just kind of want to not think. I just want to hit a button.
Yeah.
And do nothing else but hit a button.
Yeah.
And so I don't have that the amount of time that I wish I had to really do all the things that I want to get done.
I feel that, and that's we're balancing, both of us balance full-time jobs and family, and then trying to do streams, and I feel that, not feeling like I have enough time, and also when I do have time to do, like right now today, Kelly and Penny are upstairs, and I kind of I wish I was hanging with them, but I like doing this and I'm having fun. So I always have a little pang of maybe guilt a little bit, or like I'm missing out on something, but I relate to that feeling like I never have enough time.
I'm a little lucky when it comes to the family situation, especially. Well, right now I stream twice a week. I stream on Sundays and I stream on Fridays, right?
Okay.
But my entire family is gamers. So literally right now I'm sitting at my desk.
Yeah.
My wife is down sitting at her desk playing World of Warcraft. And my son is in his room playing his video games.
See, that's awesome.
We're all doing what we want to do right now. So
yeah.
I don't necessarily have that particular it's so I don't have there's no necessarily familial guilt.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, but it's more of just like, I have the lion's share of chores. I'm actually glad it's fall, because the grass has stopped growing.
Yes.
So now I don't have to cut grass on Saturdays, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of these outdoor chores that I normally have to do on weekends. All that gets to turn off. So winter is I have more time moment during the winter, because all the outdoorsy stuff I no longer have to do. But there's I have I have anxiety from my military service, and I am always worried about things that I can't do. Just end of sentence, things that I can't do. So I feel guilty about not cleaning my house when I'm streaming.
Yes.
I worry about, is there something else that I could be doing with my time that would better serve either my living situation, my cleaning is improves living situation.
Right. Yeah.
Money. Could I be doing something else that makes me more money than what I'm doing right now? Could I be doing something else that, it's always, there's something else that I probably should or would or could or maybe probably should be doing instead of this right now. And that's
Yeah.
where um, a lot of my just like problems with streaming come from, is just that I'm worried about that I could probably be doing something else that's better worth my time. Like writing, like for example, like if
Hmm.
I spent this time writing, have more success as a writer,
Okay.
but than what I am as a streamer, right?
Yeah.
Like that. So that's one thing. If I took all my streaming time and started writing, would
Right.
that pan out more for me? So it's always like missed opportunities, and
Okay.
that what do they used to call that? The opportunity costs of doing certain things.
Hmm.
Just I
Hmm.
always think that I'm probably doing the wrong thing, and I could probably go and do something else instead and get more success.
Okay.
And that just constantly eats at me.
Yeah. Now you also fundraise.
Hmm.
Like we talk about kind of combining that, right? Like, could I be doing something better? Like, I think I get that mindset, but I think like when you touched on it, like making people laugh, kind of brightening their day, making their day better. I think that ties in also with us as streamers. We try to fundraise as well too. I wanted to kind of ask you a little bit about that and your favorite causes or cause and to kind of this kind of I think that's a way that we can take streaming and use that to it's making a good use of our time, right? It's
Yep.
paying it forward.
Yeah. So I collect all the money that I can for StackUp.org.
Okay.
StackUp.org is a charity that combines the love of video games and the veterinarian. Wow, 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 Alan.
Oh,
In the veteran community, I am now a
yes.
veterinarian. It made sense. It's a charity that combines video games and veterans, right?
Yes.
And I am both a video game and a veteran,
Hmm.
so it just seems to kind of fit. Because honestly, so a lot of folks don't necessarily know this, but a lot of deployment time
Hmm.
is just burning time. If
Okay.
you're not actively on a mission or actively having things to do, right, you are just there, right?
Okay.
And you
Yeah.
need something to kind of make that time go by.
Hmm.
And video games is one of the many things that troops will bring with them to wherever they are in order to make time go by faster.
Okay.
Um, so there's a lot of gamers, and when you're not doing that, you're playing spades or you're doing something, and a lot of it's group activities because everything we tend to do is group activities. But we it's just it's a very big part of the culture of games and veterans kind of going hand in hand.
Okay.
Um, and so it makes sense, and especially like there's some folks that I'm incredibly lucky that I came out generally physically intact.
Hmm.
So like I have, my aches and pains and things that are broken, but they're not like, I have all my fingers, I have all my toes, I have, all my limbs, right? So,
Hmm.
and there's other folks that don't necessarily have that. So, and a lot of them end up, in their house. They don't leave. They don't get the chance to leave.
Yeah.
And their only outlet is via the internet to go out into the world and be, virtually around other people and hanging out with them. And so not only does Stack Up, hand out the video games and stuff like that, you can go in their Discord 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They always have counselors there to chat with whoever. Doesn't even matter if you're military or not. Just if you're feeling a certain way, you go into their Discord and there's somebody there that can talk to you. Um, about whatever. Like they're volunteered counselors that will, talk, because
Yeah.
sometimes that's all you just need, someone to say, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about, you
Hmm.
know. And so they do all those kinds of things. A lot of people, you hear the most about like the loot crates, which is where they send usually a game system with a bunch of games to somebody who requests it, or they they also have what they call air assaults, where they'll send people to like TwitchCon, for example, or cons that they normally can't afford to go to.
Okay.
They'll, bring them in and send them to the con. They also, in California, they have a house called the Phalanx House, which is a place where, if you're in the area, you can just go and hang out and stay at. Like, and they've got video
That's cool.
games, they have their D&D nights and stuff there. They just got all sorts of things that that house is there for. And they just do a lot for veterans.
Okay.
And I am fortunate enough to be in a position where I can help them help other veterans.
Okay. I like that.
And that's what I do.
I would like to, if you have an active campaign or link, I would like to post it with online with the episode. So
I'll get that for you after.
Okay. Yeah. So guys, when you're listening, it'll be down below or on the side. I don't know where it is on the podcast stuff. Like that's how bad I am. Somewhere with this episode will be links for Alan's social media stuff, his Twitch channel, and then the Stack Up campaign link as well. So, are you doing one? Veterans Day is coming up here. One, thank you for your service. Most importantly, but are you gearing up, or are you in the middle of one now because Veterans Day is coming up? Or
well, I always collect.
Okay.
So every year I start a new campaign. So
Okay.
I'm always collecting, but I always do drives. So like anybody at any time can donate.
Yeah.
But I will I'll spend a couple of weeks every year work dependent on collecting money for Stack Up, where I do dumb things to myself for the entertainment and or enjoyment of others.
Yes.
I have a whole box of like bean boozles over there, spicy bean boozles, gross bean boozles.
I'm staring at my can right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I have these are body hair strip removal. I'm a generally hairy dude, and last year I had arm hair and facial hair, those things for donations. I'll do whatever, and honestly, I'd rather have my hair ripped out than have to eat a bean boozle, because those things just trigger something. And oh man, I had $100 where I would eat. There's bean boozle extremes, which are nothing but the terrible flavors.
Oh.
And I will eat 3 of them of your choice for $100.
Oh my gosh.
And the combinations that people would come up with were no, it just, oh man, just thinking about it, it's making my stomach hurt. And on top of all those, I also always have, like, when we hit certain milestones, then I'll do something else on top of it.
Yeah.
And my go-to was normally the spicy like sunflower seeds, because they would go up in level. Each one would be a little hotter than the next. So as they would get more.
Yeah.
However, I have learned, because last year we actually hit it was the year before, we actually hit the $3,000, I think is what it was. We hit that. So I ended up actually getting the level 5 ones.
Oh no.
No, never again. I refuse to do level 4 is fine. Like, they're hot. But level 5 is hot to the point where, like, your stomach cramps up and you feel like you're going to die. And no.
Yeah.
No, not doing that again. Never again.
That's like that one chip challenge that I've done it once. I've said I'd do it again, and that's because I'm an idiot. But like, those are terrible. But you have to, like, if you don't game plan that, I see, like, you've seen, I'm sure, the videos of people, like, you don't prepare for that, and it's horrible.
Yeah, like it was to the point when I took the level 5 that I had to go onto Google, and I'm like, can you die from capsaicin? Like, do I need to go to the hospital right now? Because like it felt like I was being stabbed in the stomach.
Oh my gosh, no.
And it was terrible. Like, and I was super happy about hitting that milestone, because we never got that high before, where I have to eat level 5. And we finally hit level 5. I was so excited. No, I'm no longer
Oh,
excited.
oh no.
Because if I remember right, yeah, like the level 5 sunflower seeds literally just has capsaicin crystals in it. Like
Oh,
it's like they just put pieces in it when you get to level 5. And yeah, so it was hot on my face and
yeah,
and it burnt, right?
yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that was terrible. But then about 2 hours later, like I was just
Oh,
sweating and I started to feel just terrible. And then I called stream early. I was planning on streaming for a few more hours,
yeah.
but I'm like, you know what, guys, I don't feel too well. I'm gonna go ahead and yeah. In a couple hours after that, man, I was just like, I thought I was gonna die.
Oh no.
I thought it was melting my stomach. It was bad, and
Oh my
I will
gosh.
not eat level 5 ever again.
Our friend Michael here in chat, he's a League of Fire competitor, and his like he posts stuff like in Discord, and I follow him on Instagram, and it's just I'm like, oh no, huh, maybe. And I'm like, I could do more spicy things. I'm like, no, I need to listen to like what you're saying, and like,
Well,
I
no.
need to.
So here's the thing. I love spicy food,
Okay.
but there's a difference between you have to train. Like you can give yourself capsaicin tolerance.
Yeah.
You absolutely can, but it's something you got to train for,
Right.
right? And I eat spicy food just in general. And level 4 of that challenge
Hmm.
is hot, but it's like good Indian hot.
Yeah.
Like it's
Okay.
spicy, but not so spicy that I hate my life afterwards. Right. But once you jumped into 5, that was just like, this is what idiots do.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And that kind of level you need to train for. Like you have to train for that. You have to constantly take
Right.
take that kind of heat over and over again to get not only your taste buds used to it, but also your gastrointestinal tract as
Yes.
well. So
That reminds me.
and I wasn't trained. I
My
was not trained.
my favorite marathon story. My favorite marathon is Austin, Texas, and at like mile 9, we come down. You go up Congress, which is like uphill 3 miles. You come around, you're going downhill. There's a food truck at the bottom of the hill, or food truck park, and they're like, "Oh, hey, there's a cake pop truck." They're like, "Free cake pops for runners." I'm like, "I'm a runner." I went over, I grabbed what I thought was just chocolate. It was chocolate and spice. It was chocolate and pepper. Like mile 8, it was a good idea. Mile 9, it was a bad idea. 'Cause I'm like, this is a stupid idea. My dad's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "I'd do it again, not when I'm running, but
Yeah. It was tasty, but
yeah."
not while running a marathon.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
now I need to find somewhere. And he's like, "Here's some dude wipes or here's wet naps." I'm like, "Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
I need that."
Thanks. Thank you.
Speaking of bad ideas, I have on the counter, I have a Thames unit that someone sent me. Like, I've seen the videos of people trying to, like, they put them on their arms. They're trying to, like, drink. I'm like, I could work that into some fundraising. I could do something.
But yeah. Yeah, but I'll do. Pain is temporary.
Yeah.
I did 20 years in the army. Like I understand like what my bodily tolerance is to a lot of like just pain tolerance in general because
Hmm.
of all the crap that I've put myself through. So like
Hmm.
when it comes to like removing body hair and all that kind of stuff like that, yeah, it hurts and I'm gonna yell, but it's almost instantly gone. And
Right.
it's so temporary that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so that's why those are easy.
Yeah.
And like the other spicy stuff, like yeah, it burns for 30 minutes to an hour and then it's gone. And then the next day you have a reprisal
Yes.
for whatever reasons. And that's also temporary. You deal
Yeah.
with it and it's gone. But again, that level 5 was just hours upon hours of thinking I was going to die. And
There's another streamer, Chef John Reed, came to Chicago once, and there's a ramen shop, and they have a really spicy ramen challenge, and there's level 4, which he ended up doing, and there's another level up, and he did the level 4, and he was hurting for hours and hours. Like we went for a walk, and I could hear his stomach was doing whale song. We're walking, it was just like you could hear it. I'm like, "Are you okay?" He's like, and you just look at him. He's like, "No." I was like, we had to get him Pepto, and like, oh, well, he's like, maybe a milkshake. So we stopped at Walgreens, and he picked out a random like pre-mixed like milkshake thing. I'm like, how's that? He's like, I hate you. I'm like, I didn't do it.
I'm like, what? You can't blame me for something you did.
Yeah, he's like, you mocked me. You sat there when we were streaming it and mocked me. I'm like, okay, that's fair, but it's still not my fault.
Yeah.
Well, and I agree with that point. Like the pain is temporary, and I think like it's worth it, right? To like you're
Yeah,
helping,
like,
you're
there's
doing stuff
dudes
for a good cause.
like I said, I am in a very fortunate position. I have a
Hmm.
really good paying job. Um, and I have my military retirement and my military disabled, pay on
Hmm.
top of my good paying job. So I'm just in a really fortunate position just in general.
Yeah,
Um, and we've done a loot crate, a minimum of one loot crate every year since I started this.
that's awesome.
And so, that's five different soldiers, some that were deployed to the same location that I was. We just were in different units or whatever. Like
Yeah.
some were literally on the ground at the same freaking place at the same freaking time that I was there,
Hmm.
maybe a couple 100 feet from me that I never happened to run into or probably even saw,
Yeah,
right? But that was, just in passing and who knew.
yeah,
And so yeah, that and just knowing that those guys got, to play some games that they didn't have before or couldn't afford before because they are not in that same fortunate position that I am in.
hmm,
It's nice. It's good. I feel like I'm still doing uh what NCOs do,
hmm,
which is take care of soldiers. That's
hmm.
that's kind of what NCOs jobs are, non-commissioned officers. Their job is to take care of soldiers, and I was a senior non-commissioned officer when I retired. So
Okay,
it's kind of still doing that, but
I
not
like that.
having to put the uniform on every day.
Right, I like it. That's thank you. That's awesome. I want to change gears a little bit. We've talked about spicy food, and you mentioned Indian food.
Mhm.
What is your favorite type of food? Is it Indian, or do you
It is
have?
actually Indian is my
Okay,
favorite type of food.
okay,
I have not had the best Indian food that I have had was actually in the UK.
okay.
When I was stationed in the United Kingdom,
Yeah.
and because I've never been to India, so I can't. I haven't had official like true Indian food, right? Because it's either been in the UK or it's been US Indian food.
Right.
Um, so yeah, there's so many varieties of flavors, and they're all just extremely flavorful. And I've not found anything that I hate
That's awesome.
as of yet. There's nothing that I found that I didn't like.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, in the UK there was a buffet, and it was a
Oh,
little bit on the pricier side,
yeah.
but dude, like so much garlic naan and regular naan, and they had vindaloos, and I love vindaloo, by the way. It's one
Mm-hmm.
of their spicier ones that place had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was just this bright neon red color, like it looked like it
Ooh.
shouldn't be that color, but it is kind of thing. It was just
Ooh.
super bright, and it was so good. And everything is stew
Yeah.
like it's just cooked for a long time, and it's got
Yeah.
that softness, and all the meat is super soft, and nothing needs to be cut. It's just super super soft, and everything is delicious, and the sauces are delicious. There, I could not. I don't think I could ever get tired of it because
Okay.
there's something new you could eat
Yeah.
on top of it, like every day. Something new you can
I love it.
try.
I'm getting into it. Like the first time I went was with my brother-in-law, and I let him order, and he went in all in on heat, and I'm like, I was not prepared for this today. Like this is good, but I'm going to be paying for this. He's like, I know. I'm like, thanks, Greg, you jerk.
Yeah, doing
But it's good.
exactly what I planned to do. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah,
Do,
just South Asian food, well, Asian, Southeast Asian food in general, just that, all
yeah.
of it, I love.
Awesome. What least favorite type of food?
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms. Fair.
I
Okay.
hate mushrooms. They're
Okay.
okay. So I have a this is my philosophy, my theory, um my reason that I hate all this. Mushrooms are fungus,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
know what else is fungus? Mildew.
Yeah.
So
True.
just suck mildew off the walls. Why not? It's the same. It's the same crap. It's the same thing to me. There's no difference. There's something about the way that it's not meat but meaty. There's
Yeah.
something about that I don't like. I don't like the way it when you bite into it pops. Like it
It's
doesn't
like
cut.
there's like a
Like when you
squish and a
bite into
pop.
this like a
Yeah.
meat, it like you slice it, right? It just
Yeah.
slices in half. But you can feel like the mushroom kind of the
Yep.
pressure of it push in and then it pops open like that. And there's just something about that just
That,
no.
I had my
And they
first
taste dirty to me too. They just
that
taste
you can
dirty.
never get them clean enough. They always, earthy tones.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. If that's the phrase, yeah, the earthiness, yeah,
yeah.
I don't enjoy that earthiness
I always get
at
that with
all.
like some of the hops, like, oh, earth, I can dirt. So we're eating dirt. Okay, I'm putting dirt in this beer. Got it. I
Dirty.
had my first mochi, a frozen mochi with like ice cream. The outside
Mhm.
was very. I'm like, why is this texture like? Because like it started to like thaw. I'm like, what? Why?
Not
Why?
had mochi yet. That's one thing
It's
I haven't tried.
it was
They
good, but it was
have it
just
at
the
the grocery
texture.
store, but
Yeah,
I know like the stuff you get from the store isn't the same, so I don't want that to be like I'm going to go to some restaurant
yeah,
if I'm going to try mochi for the first time. Like
yeah.
I'm not going to buy it from Kroger.
Right. Yeah,
I'm just not going to
yeah.
do that.
We got it from
Um,
there's a Japanese grocery store out a little bit away that we go to that has Penny likes the bookstore and likes like the manga and the bookstore, so we do that, and then we get like, well, let's get some stuff to try, and it was mochi last time, and I was like, I've resisted it, and I'm like, I don't. All right, last night I was like, I'll try one, like,
yeah.
and I was like, but like Penny was hilarious because she like let it thaw and she's like, "Why is it sticking to my hands?" And she's like, "Do you want it?" I'm like, "You've touched it 92 times. No,
Like, no, I don't know where your hands have been. No.
yeah,
When's the
no, I
last
don't
time
think
you
so."
washed them?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
How
You were
about no?
just
Like,
touching a bunch of manga.
yeah,
Hell no.
yeah, like,
You know who else was touching those?
yeah, creepy dude. No.
Creepy dudes were touching those. Yeah.
I say that, but at the same time, last night we're in the kitchen getting ready for bed, and Kelly yawns, and I went and just stuck my finger like right in her mouth. She's like, "Why would you
Yeah,
do that?" I'm like, "It just an urge, like the thought popped in my
that,
head, and
that's called an intrusive thought.
yeah, it
And
was.
sometimes I just act on those.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, hon. Like, you should know me by now. It's
Yep.
kind of how it goes. One of the things that I've asked people this has become a tradition now in the young baby podcast life. But what I'm going to ask you now is if you could hang out with a Sesame Street character for a week on stream, who would it be and why?
So I already have a puppet on my stream.
You do.
So
You do.
that would be Goober the Goblin. It's one of my original characters, and I
Yes.
paid a lot of money to make him into a puppet. Paid a professional puppet maker to make me an original puppet,
I love it.
and I could go grab him too if you want to see him. But I already have a friendly goblin on my stream.
Fair. I feel like we
So
have to.
I would have to avoid like an Elmo.
Fair.
I would have to avoid like the younger because there's children Sesame
Mhm.
Street characters, and then there's the more adult Sesame Street characters, right?
Yes.
And so I, like all like none of I already have a child on my stream who gets in my way and does stuff. So I can't deal with an Elmo or any of the kid ones. So
Fair.
it would have to honestly, I feel like Oscar the Grouch would be the best foil because I feel like I could play off of his anger with
Yes.
my own anger in ways that would be
amazing.
entertaining for everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've got that Gen X, like, leave me alone. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. That's all Oscar has. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone.
Mhm.
He's a Gen Xer. Oscar
Yeah.
the Grouch is a Gen Xer from early on. before we were even called Gen X. He was being a Gen Xer. Um, and so, yeah, just I feel like he would probably be the best co-host for what I do.
Okay.
He would probably tell me to shut up a lot because I just keep talking, and he doesn't want
Love
to
it.
hear it. Yeah, it's like, do you ever shut up? No, I
Nope.
don't.
Nope. Let's just move on now. So we're established that I will not, and
Yeah,
let's just go with it,
just
Oscar.
just just sit there and listen, buddy. Put in some headphones or something. This is what it is. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So if we talk about being fortunate, right? We're able to kind of travel and do things, and
hmm
if you had, if it, do you have like, I don't know if you have a bucket list of like places to travel. I know you served, you traveled, but do you have like a dream vacation spot somewhere that
There,
you've always
there's
wanted to go to?
there's two places,
Okay,
right?
I love
The
this. Good.
first one that I'm going to mention is Hawaii, and only
Oh,
because I was supposed to be stationed in Hawaii.
okay.
I had done what I was supposed to do in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like at the time, I happened to be working in Europe, and I did some memos and stuff like that to basically be requested that my next duty station be doing the same job, but in the Pacific, which
Okay.
would be Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it got approved, like it went all the way up, it got approved, and then it was just the deal with them working with the Army to get my orders cut for me to travel, to be moved there.
Okay.
And but then the Army said, nah, bro, you're gonna be a recruiter. And once you're picked for recruiting, you can't it would take like the president of the United States to get you to no longer be a recruiter. It's once you're chosen, you're stuck doing it.
Yeah.
So I was basically eliminated as ever being able to be stationed in Hawaii at that point. So and that's why Hawaii's on the list, only just because I was supposed to
Okay.
and I never got
Fair.
the chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
However, the real answer is Japan.
Oh.
I play. I've always just been kind of fascinated with the Japanese culture, even as a
hmm
younger kid. When growing up with the early video games, all video games were basically made in Japan at that point, right?
Right.
And like we had the Atari and stuff like that, but when I was really into starting to really get into gaming, that's when the Master System and the NES and the Genesis and all that was really starting to come in.
hmm
Um, and so I just saw all these cool, all these devs that were all Japanese folks going, man, I kind of want to visit that. Then I would learn more about it from, the Encyclopedia Britannica, because that's what we had back then.
That it is. Yeah.
And just it was all very interesting to me, and I and
hmm
I always kind of wanted to see it for myself.
hmm
And and so yeah, that's a big. And then I started playing like the Yakuza games and the Like a
Right.
Dragon games, and they're obviously they're not Japan, but they're very steeped in Japanese culture and Japanese culture
Right.
memes and things like that.
hmm
And so that just kind of solidified it a bit more in my head. Plus, like, uh, I don't know, the language is neat to me. Everything about it is neat to me. Like
Yeah.
everything about it is just neat to me, and I would really like to go and spend a week just exploring, going to, like, I would personally just like to go to the locations in which the Like a Dragon games are based on, the places in Osaka, the
That would
places
be
in
cool.
Tokyo, just to walk around, because again, it's not a one-to-one remake of the area,
Yeah.
but it's a very, very close facsimile of the area. So just to walk around and see the same two bridges that go across, and just those kinds of things, I think would just be fun to do, just to walk in the same fictional area. So
That would be awesome. Like Penny is taking Japanese. She's in her second year, and she's decided that she's at least doing a year abroad over there. And I'm like,
mm,
I'll come visit. Like, and she's like, it's adorable because she's like, we're watching anime. She's showing me some things. I'm like, kid, we're your turn, and then I'm going next. And it's kind of fun to kind of share that love and kind of like I've always liked showing my kids movies that I love, like from our childhood,
Mhm.
right? We did we still have a list that we did back on Mixer. I think it was on when we were driving down to PAX South 2018. We did a list of movies we should show the kids because we were doing Pizza in a movie. So like it's fun to kind of watch her see like watch through her eyes kind of a thing. And she's now doing
Mhm.
that with me with some stuff. I'm like, this is kind of neat. And she's always trying to teach me like the language, and it's
So
it's crazy.
I've
Like four alphabets, I think.
Yeah, so that's the for us silly Americans,
Hmm.
them having like the multiple alphabets,
Yeah.
and what makes it, and that's why like they spend years and years and
Yeah.
years. So there's the katakana, where it's kind of taking that's how they facsimilate, English words,
Yes.
and then they have, well, the one that's always hard, I think it's the hiragana, is the one that's the most difficult, which is the one that's not really, it's pictographic, like the
Yeah.
way Chinese is pictographic, where a symbol means like is an entire thing, so it's more of like the entire, there's no alphabet as so much as there's each symbol represents an entire idea.
Yes.
And that's where things get really difficult, I think, for us. Like for me, I've picked up just from playing like every single Yakuza slash like a dragon game, I play
Hmm.
it in Japanese.
I love it.
So whenever
Yeah.
they're speaking in Japanese.
Hmm.
And I learned that this is called immersion um, training, where you just listen to it the same way a child just hears all the adults talking around them,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
they pick up the words just from the context of everything that's happening around
Yeah.
them. Um, and so I started doing same thing. I've started picking up some of the language,
Yeah.
just from playing like a dragon game. So which is kind of funny to me. And like so now I'm like, do they have any kids learning shows? Like I could just go to YouTube and watch, you know,
Yeah.
Sesame Street, but in Japanese, and
And
just
just
like
learn more.
just let me watch that for a while and just see how much of this I can pick up.
Yeah.
Uh, that's what I really. It's been, I haven't found a lot, but yeah, that's kind of where I want to get it. I'm not. It's not. Again, it comes down to time,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah.
all about time,
Yeah.
and something that I could put on while I'm at work, because I work from home,
Right.
and so I could have my computer playing whatever this video is,
Yes.
and then be working on the side and just having that Japanese speaking in the background constantly, and just seeing how much I can pick up. Like because that's the only way I could really do it,
Yeah.
to really do it. But then you would also have to learn, like, how do we write, how do we read, all that kind of stuff, which makes it a little more difficult, a little more
Yeah.
difficult.
It's I didn't think Penny was going to take to the foreign language, and like her teacher is amazing. She's from from Japan, and so Penny is also doing Japan Bowl, which is like Scholastic Bowl, but it's all Japanese, and it's we chaperoned last year, and Kelly, like, I'm a nerd, so I know nerd behavior. We get on the bus and we're starting to drive out to the suburbs for this competition, and they're just dead quiet. And Kelly's like, why aren't they talking? I'm like, because we're on a bus of 28 nerds and they're all
Mhm.
studying and getting ready for the competition. Like, this is the cakewalk chaperone thing. She's like, what do you mean? It's like, we have 28 kids. As long as we get back on this bus with 28 kids, we're fine.
Yep,
Like,
because they ain't gonna do nothing else.
yep, nope. They're gonna be
Yep.
in the building and they're gonna be there. Like we got to sit and like observe, and like it was a lot of fun. So we went for parent night this year, and they only have the one Japanese teacher, and I was like, I just wanted to let you know, Kelly and I are volunteering. If you want. She's like, oh, I already have you down as volunteers for the team. I'm like, great, cool.
Okay, sure.
And like, but it's amazing because Penny, like, well, she's worked ahead, and she's on, I think, the katakana now, which is one of the harder ones. I can't
Mhm.
remember what it is, but she was practicing writing out the alphabets, and I think now she's just like got notebooks just filled, where she just, like, we hang out at Starbucks, she's done with homework, she's learning to write, and she's
Yeah.
doing Duolingo, and she's like, I don't need to learn it. I have it on the lowest setting just because I want the points. I'm like, fair.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, like there's actually a couple of teach yourself Japanese video games out there, which are, one of them I'm big into JRPGs. I kind of
Hmm.
mentioned that before, but
Yeah.
it's a JRPG where literally like you're fighting the characters, like the
Hmm.
Japanese characters, but how you damage them is by picking the correct English letter that coordinates
Okay.
with the sound that that particular character makes. And it's helped as far as like, okay, now I started to recognize, but again, time. I
Right.
played it a bit,
Yeah.
but do I had time to really sit down and practice writing,
Yeah.
every single character? No, I don't yet. And that's kind of, so it's more of a passing interest. It's just one of the many things where I'm basically like, yeah, this is something that I would like to learn, and I'll
Right.
pick up as many bits and pieces as I can based on the time that I have. There's no way that I'm going to be like, I'm going to learn Japanese today. No, I'm not. No,
Right.
I'm not.
Yeah. It's like my favorite little tidbit about Japanese. Ask your Google or your Siri or whatever how you say stepmom. It's mama haha,
Mm.
which Kelly, like Penny loves, and Kelly's like, wait, that makes it sound like I'm a joke. And like we told Chi Sensei last year, she's like, well, you could also say it like this. And Kelly's like, that's how we're gonna say it. And Penny's like, no, I'm gonna go off what Google said because it's funnier.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like, so Japanese has a lot for the English ear. Japanese has
yes,
a lot of words that are just kind of funny sounding.
yes,
How you answer the phone, mushi mush, or mushi
hmm,
mushi.
hmm,
Like that's just a funny sound to English speakers.
yes,
Um, and if I remember right, it just means talk talk or chew chew. It's one of the two. Like it's just like, like it's the motion of moving your mouth. Like that's literally
yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
Why did hello get picked? Because that was the first thing that somebody said, and that just kind of caught on. Like that, it's just
yeah,
whatever words. All languages will evolve, and
hmm,
you know, for all we know in the future, what up is going to be how you answer the phone, right? That's the
right,
play. What up?
yep,
And because that's just what everybody uses now, and instead of hello. So it just, things will change over time, but yeah, it's there are some Japanese phrases and or words that sound amusing and in almost childish
yeah,
to the English ear.
yes,
And like saying hello on the phone, mushy mush
hmm,
or mushy mushy, it sounds funny, but
yeah,
it just means hello. That's how you interpret it, is they're just saying hello.
yeah.
So
It's a lot of fun. Like I passed a book off to Penny. We've been trying to pick up reading more, and I read the original Godzilla story. They finally it's translated from the original 1950s, 1940, 1950s original Godzilla story, and it's actually pretty
mhm.
fascinating to read. And Penny's like, I might read it. I'm like, then we can watch some of the movies because that's fun too.
Yes.
I'm like, Godzilla -1 we could watch, and she's like, slow down, Dad. I'm like, okay, fine.
You watch the really really old ones. Those are the ones that
Yeah,
that's like a lot of us older folks. Those are the ones that we saw were
yeah,
the ones. I mean, riff tracks. You can probably watch all of them on riff tracks right
oh
now,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
commentary on the back. But yeah, I mean, they had special effects, but they had 1950s special effects, which were its
right.
own thing, and
Yes,
1950s Japanese special effects, which was its own thing. So
right.
like, yeah, it's fun watching those just for the differences, because 1950s, yeah, there was a lot of different things, but there was a definite difference between like Western and Eastern special effects and how
Yeah.
they went about doing what they do. Uh, which is always just kind of fast. And that's part of the fascination with Japan for me,
Hmm.
is that you know that parallel, the two different ways of just doing things.
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of foreign countries, and it's just the cultural differences are just fascinating to me. Not like some people like, oh, I can't believe they do it that way, but more of, this is interesting. I like
Yeah.
how they do this a little bit different. It's the same thing, but they go about it just a little bit differently than we
Yeah.
would. And those just have always been fascinating to me, just in general.
I love it.
Small differences.
Yeah. That was my stage name, actually. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
That was
Was it?
intrusive thought. Intrusive thought.
poor guy. Anyway.
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 I'm through my questions, so I think, yeah, we kind of ripped through those. You answered a few of them kind of like on your own. I'm like, oh, he's like, all right, well, cool.
Well,
like,
I mean, I'll answer them again. I love answering questions.
Right? No. I just wanted to kind of like just want to say thank you for coming on because
absolutely.
You were on the short list.
Yeah, we've known each other for a very long time, so I mean, this just kind of made sense to do.
Yeah.
And since you're doing this podcast thing, and
I'm glad. So, yeah, what we like to do to kind of like we do what's called now the cool down, right? We warmed up, we ran, we did our workout, and now we're gonna kind of cool down. But I wanted to kind of we talk about spicy food, and I love the series Hot Ones. At the end he gives them I'm not going to make anything spicy right now and do it, but like
sweet, because I don't have anything here, so
but let you kind of wrap up, like tell us all the things that you want us to know, kind of a thing. Like I'm going to give you the floor again, or virtual floor, and just kind of I'm going to shut up.
All right. So yeah, like I said, AlynnTheYellowEyed. I do stream on Fridays for What the Friday. I do stream on Sundays for what I call the main quest. And every few Saturdays we do play Dungeons and Dragons at 6 p.m. here on the Twitch. You can find me at AlynnTheYellowEyed. I know it's really, really long, but Alan already taken. So, we got to go with the full name. So AlynnTheYellowEyed here. It's also AlynnTheYellowEyed at YouTube. You can find me pretty much everywhere else, like Twitter, as AlynnYellowEyed, because you can't have the because it's too long. So that's just, so you're going to find, if you just combine the words ALYNN, yellow, and eyed, you'll probably find me. I've been known as that for many, many years. So you can find me at all those places. If you're interested in just nonsense humor and stream of consciousness and all those kinds of things, that's what you're going to get with me. On Sundays, it tends to be long form games that take 100+ hours to beat. And the Friday night ones tend to be just goofy, whatever kind of games that I'm playing. And then on occasion, I will do a weekday stream if I don't feel like, I just want to go to bed after work. So the only official days are the Fridays and the Sundays. So everything else is bonus at that point. Like I said, stackup.org if you want to give to my campaign. The links will be where the links are. With Dan will put them. I'll make sure he has those.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think of anything else that I do outside of like that's interesting. And no, that's pretty much it. I stream and then I collect money for Stack Up. Those are the two main things that people need to know.
Okay.
I don't want them to call me at work because that means I have to do more work. So
yeah, no, you have enough, like day jobs enough as it is.
I have enough to do without you all calling me and giving me more work to do. Yeah.
Oh, well, I want to thank you for doing this. Like, again, like we've known each other for 7.5 years now. And you're one of the people like I enjoy hanging out with, and we need to do this more often. And
I mean,
yeah. And like I've anytime you want to come on and podcast, you'd be like, hey, let's hang out again. Like,
I actually have a script written for a podcast. I know, like, podcast is like, what do you mean script? I was going to do a podcast with Goober.
Nice.
Like, I literally was going to do like a podcast with my puppet, and obviously I do both voices, so it's not going to be necessarily in video format, but so that's why it was scripted out, so I could do both sides. And
oh my god, I love it.
Like, it's in my Google. It's like it's one of those many ideas that I have that I just haven't had time to sit down and do, because like, I can sit down, I can get the recording, but then once you get the recording of both sides, then you got to smush it all together and do that. And knowing me, I'm going to be like, well, I kind of want to do a video, so let's set up a camera to look at it like a table, and I can put Goober there and do his little mouth movements and all that. I don't do anything simply. It starts simply and then turns into just this. It just keeps expanding because I want to do it cooler and better. Which, like, on my channel, one of the things I created a Twitch extension specifically for me playing D&D,
Mm-hmm.
where all of the character data from the virtual tabletop we use gets uploaded to a server that I pay for, so that Twitch can pull that data down in order to show the character data to everybody viewing. Like,
That's awesome.
I'm the only one using this. I spent hours programming to make this thing for me, just for me, because so now I'm working on version 2 of it already, because they released a new version of Dungeons and Dragons. So now I gotta make a new version to work with the new version of Dungeons and Dragons. And yeah, so
I love it.
that's basically kind of one of the many things that I'll end up doing. And I have if you're interested in those kinds of things, I do talk about what I do when I'm programming and things like that in the Discord, and
Cool.
our Discord is just full of whatever random stuff as well. So
I love it.
a lot of random stuff. We do a lot of random stuff.
That's that's a tagline, and it's a way to be, and I like it. This has been fun. I'm glad that we did this. And we need to do it again. So I'm gonna reach out, and maybe next time we have Gooper on too. Maybe we figure out a way and have a 3-way. Wait, that that didn't sound.
Listen,
you know
as
what?
a happily married man, I look forward to that, to be honest.
Well, that's a parting thought. So
yeah, there you go. That's all you need to know about me. If you're wondering, like, what kind of humor does Alyn have? That's part of it right there.
We're gonna clip that, and that's gonna be the. I'm trying to be better about clipping the podcast and promoting it. So that's gonna be the clip that's gonna be out there. So I hope
works out exactly the way we want. Yeah,
excellent. Perfect. So everybody, thank you for watching. I am Dan. Run. I've been on with AlynnTheYellowEyed, and we just gave you the runaround. And now I gotta figure out where the thing is to do the thing. Yeah, there's all right. Bye, y'all.
Hit the button.
I hit the button. Oh God.
Hit the button.